these guys want to finish the game the right way. Travion did the right thing going down at the 1 yard line. We ate up the clock. We didn't want to put the defense back out there. You just never know in games like this. It's a top 5 matchup. So we wanted to finish it the right way and make sure that everybody knows that this is the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Well, it was Indiana taking a Buckeye beatdown. They came in red hot and they're leaving ice cold. The turnaround story of the year crashes and burns in the horseshoe. Buckeyes give the Hoosiers their first loss of the season. This one ends Buckeyes 38, Indiana 15. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Football Fever postgame show. I'm Ben Buchanan, alongside former Buckeye Jay Richardson, Dave Holmes, Obi Stillwell, and Kellyanne Stitz will join us in just a bit. Now, Jay, it certainly was a big win today, but before we celebrate, have to discuss a little bit what OSU needs to work on ahead of next week. It's the game coming up. There were a lot of penalties today, man, a lot of flags on the football field.
Okay, we'll eat our veggies first tonight.
I guess,
8 penalties for 58 yards. Not exactly what you want to see out of your team, but I got to tell you, Ben, as this football game started, you knew there was going to be a lot of questions on the edges of how the referees were going to call this. And they chose to call it extremely tight on the edge. Igvinosa right there gets the PI call. I don't love some of the calls. This one right here, I can understand. You say he's a little handsy. He's typically handsy, but sometimes you let them both be physical. If the offensive player is physical, then referees usually allow the defensive player the same. That right there is a tackle, so they're going to call that every time. But he had another one down here. I didn't love this one. I thought, yes, he got beat on the line, but within that first 4 to 5 yards, and it's only on like the 2 yard line, you're allowed to put your hands on him. Problem is he gets beat outside, has to recover, and then he holds him right there around the waist. They got to call that. That's a tough one. They should have called it both ways. I really thought that there were some plays on the other side of the ball. The one to Jeremiah Smith that he tried to one hand, but he had the IU defender kind of draped all over him, and he was not given that call. I thought that one easily could have been a call. So it didn't look great early on as far as just how the game was officiated. Again, you got a block in the back there. I know it's to the letter of the law you have to call that, but if you watch that in real time, that defender was already headed that direction. So I don't think Donovan even had to put his hands on him there. And then, again, you got another one right here. Here's the one I really didn't love right there on Iggy. And, man, they were really going after Iggy.
They were. Man, targeting him, no doubt.
But what Ohio State has to realize is these are what opposing offenses are going to do. They are going to target our cornerbacks, and they're going to challenge them to cover without getting a little too handsy. Again, Ohio State was able to overcome the referees, overcome, some tough calls. I don't think every call was the right call, although you saw some really egregious ones there.
Questionable, yeah.
And even through all of that, they were able to really get control of this game around the third quarter and then start to roll in almost a dominant kind of way. And, Ben, this was a defensive win. I don't want anyone to take anything away from the Ohio State Buckeyes defense. When you guys look at these numbers, okay, holding Indiana, a team that was rolling #1 in the country in points, holding them not just to the 15 points, to only 151 total yards. That is domination defensively. Okay, 79 yards on that opening drive. Everyone freaked out, and it almost seemed like Jim Knowles went, okay, that's what you're going to do. Let me go ahead and get all of my adjustments made. And for the rest of the game, it was just lights out. We got a lot of awards to give away, but I got to start with a few different guys. And first off, it's those bookends on the edge. I really love what I saw out of Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau, just coming off the edge consistently. And then towards the end, even when there wasn't a blitz, they were still maintaining pressure and being able to win one-on-ones. That was huge. Caleb Downs. Not enough you can say about him. He's all over the football field, and I know Ben is looking forward to talking about him some more in those special teams. But all you saw were guys where they were supposed to be in attacking, downhill, aggressive. Sonny Styles had 8 tackles, 4 solos, I believe, and he had one of his better games where he just was where he needed to be in his coverage, and then when it was time to come downhill, he did so with reckless abandon. That right there is how you engineer a perfect and beautiful dominant performance defensively. You take away that opening drive, and they're in 2 digits in points and also in yards. I mean, I don't know, Ben. I don't know that I've seen that masterful of a performance of an Ohio State defense for, we'll say, 3.5 quarters of beautiful football. My hat's off to Jim Knowles and the defense. He's got to get more respect than he's been getting because he is getting things done. Ever since that Oregon game, this Ohio State defense has been on a tear.
Yeah, they really have. Veggies out of the way, and as Jay's already alluding to, I think there is a lot to celebrate in this football game. We're ready to talk about that moving forward. All right, now to the good news. As we've alluded to, the Bucs score a crucial win in the lead up to the Big Ten championship. For more on that, let's send things out to Dave Holmes and Obi Stillwell at the Shoe, guys.
Well, thanks a lot. Ohio State Buckeyes, a dominant 38-15 win over another top 5 opponent in the Indiana Hoosiers. Dave Holmes, Obi Stillwell. So first things first, just your general reaction to the way the Buckeyes dominated after the opening drive for Indiana. They took it down there, and then it was like a different game from that point forward.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to Ohio State kind of showing up after the first quarter now in this season, and show up they did. It was exciting to see how they evolved into their personality, if you will, evolve into their identity, and once that came about, it was a wrap.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The narrative this week is going to be all about Indiana. Were they actually good enough to compete in this game? Do you think this was an overrated Indiana team, or did we just see a Buckeye team that rose to the challenge?
You know what? I think the latter. At the end of the day, this was a team that it's almost unfair because we're constantly questioning what the Buckeyes are going to bring to the table. And I really felt as if they brought all of who they are, if they brought all the talents, the gifts, the abilities that they have, the schemes, everything, I think they can be dominant. And I think they showed that. It just took a little bit of time. But Indiana, yes, Indiana's a great team. I think they'll be a team that will be a team to reckon with throughout the conference. But, I think, they got a little brother a little bit today. Yeah. Kind of put in their place a little bit.
Yeah, I think what we saw is an Indiana team that has a much higher floor than they used to, but the ceiling on Ohio State's program is still so much higher. Here's what Ryan Day had to say after the game.
But that's the way you got to play the game of football. That's the mentality that we have to have. And, we know that we want to be playing our best football. We also know what was at stake. You don't win this game, you have no chance to go to Indianapolis and play in the Big Ten championship. And that's real. And we've had that approach here for a few weeks now, or more than that. And I got to say, I thought the crowd was awesome. Awesome. I thought our guys played with great passion. I thought the two of them just, played off of each other the entire game.
Ryan Day obviously happy about the win. One of the big storylines, Obi, going into this game was the center position. Seth McLaughlin tore his Achilles, out for the year. Carson Hinsman in. And I know you were in the news conference after the game. Quarterback Will Howard spoke on that a bit and almost seemed more worried about the man than the way it would impact his team.
Yeah, you know what? It was really fun to watch. It was good to see Will Howard's compassion and passion that he has for the brotherhood. And he spoke about how I wasn't really worried about the players and who was going to actually fill the position, because we have guys here, we have players here, we have guys that are going to step up to the challenge. And they did. He said, my heart went out to Seth, my brother. That's who I was more concerned with. And it was just good to see him lock in on that brotherhood and really lock in on what was important to him and what was on his heart as he engaged and stepped into this opportunity.
Yeah, well, Indiana's head coach Curt Cignetti did a lot of talking in the preseason, the regular season. Buckeyes, though, have bragging rights today, 38-15 over the Hoosiers. For Obi Stillwell, I'm Dave Holmes for the Football Fever.
All right, much more to come here on the Football Fever. When we come back, we'll take a look at those special teams being very special.
All right, in the Apex Pros Plumbing, Heating, and Air, the Pros Who Knows segment, we're going to change things up just a little bit this week. I'm going to send it over to our resident pro, Ben Buchanan. And once again, Ben, the special teams are making special plays. Now, that muffed punt, that was a game changer for the Buckeyes today.
I just want to say I'm honored to sit in this seat, my man. It's normally you, so it's a good day for a special teamer here. Jay, we talk about how elite plays are exciting in the special units, but sometimes just making the routine plays. And I think you saw that today. What you saw with this punter, right, we practice it as punters. It's the wet ball drill, right? Sometimes you'll soak it down with the hose because when it's tough, it's raining, right? You have to watch the football. And this is just a classic case right here of step one. You have to catch the football, right? He's probably feeling a lot of pressure. These guys are getting on him early. You have to catch the football. You're then going to walk your steps, and that's when you want to put an elite punt down the field. So you really look at this, crunch the numbers, right? Average punts are 40, 45 yards. It's 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage right there. This is probably a case of a 60 to 70 yard swing when you talk about field position. Jay, that is an absolute game changer. You can't have that. So again, these elite plays, we're going to talk about Caleb Downs here shortly as well. You want to see those, but when you don't make the routine plays in special units, it makes all the difference. This was a huge momentum swing.
As
right
they
here,
say, you got to keep your eye on the ball. But
That's
as
correct.
you just alluded to, we cannot forget about Caleb Downs. He is ending our return touchdown drought. Thank you so much, Caleb, for that. The safety was housing it on a 79-yard punt return, Ben. This is the first time in OSU history that they have taken a punt back for a touchdown since Jalen Marshall did it in 2014. And ironically, you know who that was against?
Indiana.
Indiana.
Okay.
It's almost like you read that.
Oh, I don't know. It's almost like I could see it right there. This was a game changer as well. What can we say about Caleb Downs, right? We knew about him, one of the highest recruited athletes ever, goes to Alabama. We get him in the transfer portal, and we've just heard about this guy. He really is a coach's dream. You talk about the defensive side of the ball. I love just zeroing in on him at the safety position. But dare I say, Jay, this was a little Ted Ginn-esque, man, showing the breakaway speed, seeing the spin move. This is, as we've said, just a coach's dream right here, and that is long overdue. Are you kidding me? 10-plus years for not having a punt return touchdown at Ohio State. Too many great athletes. We take special teams too seriously here. So good for Caleb Downs to really give a great spark to these Ohio State Buckeyes. Offense, defense played well, but if you're going to make a push in November, going to have a shot at Indy, going to go deep in these playoffs, you have to make elite plays on special units. And Caleb Downs, this is a safety returning a punt for a touchdown. What can't this guy do, man? Pretty impressive.
Is only a sophomore. Ohio State still gets him for another year, and you get 2 more with Jeremiah Smith.
We're glad he wears the scarlet and gray, as we know. Now, speaking of Caleb Downs, our Kellyanne Stitz got to speak with the safety following his lights-out performance. Kellyanne?
Caleb, you're the first guy in over a decade to return a punt for a touchdown. In 2014, almost to the date against Indiana. Walk me through that big play.
Really just the team, everybody that was on the punt return unit, everybody did their job. Everybody blocked the guy who they were supposed to block, and then God blessed me with an opportunity to get the ball in my hands and made the play. So I can't do anything but give glory to him and thank him for the opportunity.
Looked like you broke out a spin move there too. What was that feeling like when you found the end zone?
When I found the end zone, it felt different than I felt it last year, so it kind of felt like that, and it just felt really special to be there. And then I was just really thankful for my teammates for blocking.
Now, looking ahead to next week, your first time playing in this big rivalry, Michigan-Ohio State. What are you looking forward to next week?
We lost to them last year at Alabama, so really just really trying to get back. So just trying to get prepared this week and play at a high level.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caleb.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations on the big win.
All right, stay with us. We're back with the Honda highlights when the football fever continues. All right, time now for the Honda highlights in this game, starting out like pretty much every Ohio State game this year. Slow. Once again, the opposing team strikes first. Indiana looking like they can hang with the big dogs early. Curtis Rourke leading his team down the field, helped a bit by some costly penalties on the defensive side of the ball. That drive is capped off with a 2-yard rush from Hoosier running back Tyson Lawton. Jay, this is not the ideal start here.
Yeah, people just keep wanting to make this new narrative that, this IU team wasn't that good anyway. Listen, they were a good football team. They came out off of the bye week, had a nice scripted drive, executed perfectly, and marched the football right down the field on the Buckeyes.
They did, but Ohio State's sleeping giant of an offense wakes up. Will Howard finding the future first-rounder Emeka Egbuka in the back of the end zone for an 11-yard pass, and the Buckeyes would not take their foot off the gas for the rest of the game. Jay, what a game for number 2 here.
I mean, he's like your favorite watch. You can just count on him, man. He's always going to be where he needs to be, runs a beautiful route here, comes around underneath, almost looks like a wheel route in a way, and then beautiful pass here by Will Howard right over the defender and drops it in the bucket for 7 points.
Great to see Meck get in the end zone. For the second week in a row, the special teams setting up the offense beautifully. Indiana's punter letting the ball slip through his fingers, and the Bucs are able to keep it in perfect scoring position. Jay, as we talked about, this was a game changer.
Yeah, this is right here is where the tides really turned, and this is where Ohio State really took control of this game. And again, self-inflicted wounds for IU. You saw a lot of things just go wrong for them that they caused. Balls wet, as been said. And you got to do these kind of drills. Hose the ball down and learn how to catch it. Otherwise, our boys are going to get going. You see Reese there on the sideline next to Ryan Day, excited as all get out. And that kind of thing can change the momentum, and they never got it back.
Field positions, everything. From that distance, it's barbecue chicken for Travion Henderson, who rushes it in for 6 right before the half. Jay, this is Big Ten smash mouth football.
Nothing tricky, nothing sexy. Get right downfield, bone on bone, and go move them into the end zone and get a touchdown.
Yeah, great to see Ryan Day looking passionate right there. That was one heck of a run. Will Howard, man, great to see the passion for these guys. We're going to flash forward to the third quarter. Hoosiers are about to get, they're going to be able to get this punt off, rather. Bounces into the hands of Caleb Downs, the safety, looking like a receiver out there, carving up Indiana with a nasty spin move. 79-yard house call Jay, Downs is just elite. What else can you say about this guy?
He's beyond elite. I mean, he is a professional out there. And the moment I saw that ball take that first bounce and I saw him get his feet set, I was like, this might be a big one. And he just carved up this defense, got his hips turned upfield, hit him with a nice little spin move, whoop, and then hit the sideline. But he ain't going out of bounds, cuts it right back inbounds, and then just finds the seam there. And all you saw was red jerseys surrounding him. He had a convoy, an escort, if you will, into the end zone. Again, this is what happens when you get elite players in an elite system.
Breakaway speeds. We've had a running back score, a wide receiver score. Why not a tight end? Jelani Thurman getting in on the fun here, snagging this 1-yard toss from Howard. That's 28 unanswered points for the Buckeyes. Jay, they're just pouring it on at this point.
Good to see the young fella get in there. He had a rough go earlier with Will's interception, but man, you see Jelani, big old tight end, highly ranked out of high school, finally got himself in the end zone. That was a big one.
And then deep in the fourth quarter, just adding insult to injury at this point, Howard rushes in for a touchdown himself with just 35 seconds left on the clock, as if this game wasn't out of reach already. The Hoosiers fall to 10-1, their undefeated season coming to an end in Columbus. This one finishes 38-15 in favor of the Buckeyes. Now, Jay, the offense may have been cooking today, but your player of the game, I love this graphic, actually is on the defensive side of the ball. Who gets this week's honors, my man?
This was tough, Ben,
okay,
because everyone played well. Will Howard had a fantastic football game. Take away that INT, man, he played his butt off. I loved what I saw out of a lot of the guys. I thought Travion really showed up and played well, over 7 yards per carry. The defense, the Ohio State's bookends, really dominated, but nobody dominated or was more critical to this victory than Cody Simon, baby. 10 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, 4 of those tackles solos. He was all over the field. He came up the middle, got a sack. He came off the edge, got a sack. Caused fumble, knocked the snot out of Rourke and put that ball on the ground. It seemed like every time the Ohio State defense needed a big play, you just saw number 0 with that black O on his chest come screaming up the middle or around the corner to make a big tackle. But even when you take away just the huge, tackles for loss and those sacks and those kind of plays, what I love was those routine tackles where you need to make sure you get that ball carrier on the ground. Cody Simon was that guy. Almost had another fumble recovery. I think when he jumped on, the ball kind of bounced off his belly there. But all you saw all afternoon long was number 0 making plays, and you saw the defense just rally around him, and you could see their excitement. He is the leader of that defense. He makes that whole thing go. Congrats, young man. You dominated this game.
The bullets were the bullets today, as we like to say. That makes Jay Richardson very happy. All right, we're back soon. Stay with us here on The Football Fever. All right, back now with the Kia dealers, keys to the game. Number 1, center of attention. Even without Seth McLaughlin's leadership and skill, the Buckeye O-line looked fantastic. Carson Hinsman taking over for McLaughlin seamlessly. Number 2, confidence killer. The Buckeyes cooling off that red-hot Indiana offense, and as a result, ending their unbeaten season. And finally, number 2, Emeka Egbuka having himself a day, hauling in 7 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. Looking good there. Well, someone who was certainly happy about the team's performance today was former Buckeye quarterback Justin Fields. He braved the elements today to be College Game Day's guest picker and watched his Buckeyes dominate.
Justin, welcome back to the shoe. What is it like being back here on your old stomping ground?
Yeah, it's great. It's been a couple of years since I've been back, but big matchup coming up, so excited I was able to make it back for this one. So yeah.
What are you looking forward to most in this game?
The environment, of course. We got 2 good teams going at it, and just looking for the Buckeyes to have a great day today. So.
What do you like about the Buckeyes this season? What excites you?
Yeah, the defense has been playing great. Offense too, got a lot of playmakers on the offense side of the ball. Really every position. So I know we got a couple of injuries on the O-line, but we usually have a good amount of depth and just ready to play. So yeah.
And Justin, crazy to say, but you were the last quarterback to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this team has what it takes, led by Will Howard, to get it done this year?
I know we have what it takes. I know we're gonna get it done this year, so should be a fun game next week.
Thank you, Justin, for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
As Fields just said, we're now looking ahead to the game against that team up north. For more on that, let's send things out one last time to Dave and Obi at the shoe.
Yeah, final thoughts at the shoe with Obi. All right, as soon as they're walking off that field, Obi, we talked to Emeka Egbuka briefly outside the locker room. He was stone-faced. He said it is all about Team Up North. So what are you feeling now as they get ready to try to snap this streak?
Yeah, you know what? I've been in that locker room. I've been, on a team that we actually went into the Michigan game with momentum. I was a part of that Coach Cooper era where, it was a lot of 50-50 up and down. Wasn't sure how things were going to work out. This team is different. This team is focused, and they have everything that they need to actually win the game. Are they going to bring that to the table? I love the intensity. I love the focus. It's not going to be a whole lot of talking. Not going to be a whole lot of chatter. Yeah. It's going to be about making it happen when it's at the time of kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt, Emeka Ibuka, Denzel Burke, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, these four-year players who don't have a single pair of gold pants, right. You better believe they will be locked in this week, guys, as we get ready for that Team Up North.
All right, Jay, they call it the greatest rivalry in all of sports. I say throw records out the window here. This means so much, man. What can we say about this one?
Nothing else matters other than what happens next Saturday at noon. The Buckeyes have to win this game. I want this so bad for not just the Buckeyes, specifically for Coach Day, because he's been a fantastic coach for years, and it's time that he goes and takes this one and really leans into it. I know he will. Looking forward to it. These boys are ready to go. It's going to be a big one.
I couldn't agree with you more. Coach Ryan Day is an elite head coach. A lot of banter around Columbus, obviously, but Big Ten record is amazing. Love to see a Big Ten championship. We know it ran through Bloomington today. Have to beat the Team Up North, and it just means that much more. 1 yard is worth 2, right? 4 yards is worth 8. You can double it in a game like this. It's the physicality. We're looking forward to it. Getting ready for next week, my man. Ready for it right here.
Finally here.
It's coming up soon. All right, that'll do it for us here on The Football Fever. We're going to be things will be a little different next week when we talk about the show. We'll have our usual pregame show at 11 right here on ABC, taking you right up to noon, a kickoff on Fox. But we'll have a very different special postgame show at 3:30 right after the game ends. Then it's back to your regularly scheduled programming, postgame show at 11 p.m. Until then, for the entire Football Fever team, I'm Ben Buchanan. Good night, everyone. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.